people use words to either empower themselves or disempower either themselves or other people. I went through that development phase where I felt like, I'd never be seen as a real man. I attempted suicide several times.
All right. Hey, guys. Welcome back to the studio. Today we have a larger-than-life guest, Sam Humphreys. Welcome to the studio, Sam.
Hi, nice to be here. Thanks for having me on your podcast.
Yeah. How's the day rolling out for you?
Yeah, doing pretty good. Just doing the normal day-to-day things of an actor. You never know where life is going to take you each day. So.
Yeah, that actor life. You're out there in LA. How's the weather today in LA?
Yeah, the weather's doing pretty good. It's a little bit overcast, but it's always pretty warm here out in LA.
Yeah, you guys got that lucky California weather. Amazing. I was just out in California actually at the same time you were. We were both out in California. Well, you live there, but I was out visiting it while our mutual friend Glenn was in town to podcast. Glenn was out in LA to podcast with me and to podcast with you, but we didn't actually get to connect, you and I. So we get to connect now.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
But I am going to be out in LA in a couple of months, and we'll have to connect in person out there. So
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have to have lunch or coffee or, who knows, the in-person podcast.
yeah, absolutely. So just to give the audience a little bit of context, Sam, you got to be a part of The Greatest Showman, the movie The Greatest Showman, and Hugh Jackman actually happens to be a huge inspiration to you, and he was the main star of that movie, and so that was a pretty big deal for you. That movie is new to me. I only just saw that movie within the last couple days because I had just been so dialed out of television, movies, media, and news for so many years. But I love finding, my way to new gems for me. And what a great performance in that movie. I really enjoyed that. Would you like to talk a little bit about how you found your way into that role?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as any actor does, they audition for a project. And I had been sent it from my agent, who I had signed up with previously 2 years prior to getting that audition. And I actually, split second, my life could have gone either way. I could have completely missed being in The Greatest Showman, and my life could have been completely different if I had never have submitted to the audition for The Greatest Showman. I actually almost deleted the email. So my life could have been completely different.
Wow, amazing. And you've actually been, fascinated by and inspired by the entertainment world for much of your life. And I watched some footage of you doing various auditions and some great projects over in Australia. Isn't that right?
Yeah. So I did another project while I was coming back from the US for after no, so prior to reshoots. So prior to coming back to LA for reshoots on The Great Showman, I went back home to Australia and I did another project called Show Me the Gun. And that basically is a project that flips the script on disabilities. But as we had talked prior, I don't actually like the word disability. I don't think it's a bad word, but I think it's a disempowering word. And so that project was basically about flipping people who have disabilities, or as I like to say, different abilities, diff abilities, on its head. Where in that project, everyone who has a quote unquote disability, is the normal people in the world. And everyone who doesn't have a disability, they are the oddballs. They are the ones who are ostracized. They are the ones that are the outcasts. And if you don't have a disability in this world, then you are seen as different. You are mocked. You are seen as not being normal, so to speak. And so basically, in this world, everyone who doesn't have special ability or different ability are made fun of and are seen as, not able to function in this world. And so basically, it was a project to show people that, what the world would be like if they had a disability. And we wanted to normalize what that would look like and show how we feel in this quote unquote normal world that we're in, how the world and society and culture treats those of us who have a disability or a different ability. And we're hoping that the project would get picked up, but it hasn't yet. But we're still trying, we're still pushing.
Yeah, interesting. So it kind of turns the tables for folks to kind of get a perspective on what that's like. That's amazing, and what a fascinating project. And so you were born with acrodysplasia.
Yeah.
So would you mind kind of walking the audience through that diagnosis?
Yeah, yeah. So I was born, I was born a very small child, and there was a lot of issues surrounding my birth and challenges. And even before I was born, there was already the possibility that I might not live, and that even after I was born, there was a possibility that I wouldn't survive. So my life has been a struggle since day one and a constant fight since day one. But around about the age of 3, I was diagnosed with a condition or a rare disease called acrodysplasia, which is basically a condition that affects my bone growth, affects my immune system, and affects like everything about my development. So the medical term is acrodysplasia, or the layman's term is skeletal dysplasia, and it's a very rare condition. Across Australia and New Zealand, I was told that I was one of 3. Um, I feel like it's a little bit more common than that around the whole world, but acrodysplasia is a very like specific diagnosis. So everyone who has like skeletal dysplasia, that's like the umbrella term. So people can have skeletal dysplasia, but have very different mutations or conditions of that development. So no one will necessarily have the same type of acrodysplasia or the same type of mutation that I have. So that's very rare. And then, so from that, like, my development was always very short, growing up. And I've been, well, not this exact height since I was a teenager, because I had a mini growth spurt when I was a teenager, which was like, in inches. I was probably about like a couple inches, and that might not be big to everyone, but that was huge to me.
Yeah.
So if you can believe it, I used to be around about like 3 foot. So yeah, now I'm 4'2". So that's tall to me.
Yeah, amazing. Well, you know what I found was interesting was that as you got cast in The Greatest Showman, you were too tall for The Greatest Showman
Yes,
for the role of
yes.
Tom. You
I've
were
never been told that.
Yes, that's crazy. So you had to actually play that role on your knees.
Yeah.
Yes. So that had to be kind of like ironic, right?
Yeah, so when I met the director, so when I flew out to Vancouver, it was like a 30-hour flight round trip. I flew all the way out to Vancouver to meet with the director for like 1 hour, just for him to look at me, and we like spoke for a little bit. We were like, oh yeah, great. Like we spoke about the role. And then one of the first things he said to me was like, how do you feel about playing the role on your knees? I'm like, wait, what do you mean? It's like, I like your height, but I think you might be a little too tall. And I think I want the height dynamic between you and Hugh Jackman to be even greater. So it's like, how do you feel about being on your knees for the whole film? I was like, well, I've never been told I was too tall. So, like, I can't win. I'm too tall, I'm too short, I'm too, whatever. So, but that's, I guess, a good problem to have, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, so how did they work that? So then they just had to craft the shoes around your kneecaps?
Yeah, so I had very special knee boots made, which we'll be able to show on screen. Is that I had these like platforms made, and they had very thin foam like layering inside. But like when you're on your knees for like 5 hours, within like 5 to 10 minutes in, that support goes away. You don't feel it. Like your legs, your knees go numb. Like I still have issues sometimes on my knees because of what I did back then.
Oh my
And
goodness.
there were times when like we did like shoots and scenes for so long and I was on my knees for so long that I couldn't get up. Well, one, I was strapped into the knee boots, so once I was strapped in, like it made my knees into like an L shape. So I literally couldn't stand up because my knees were like locked into the boots. And so and there were a few times where I literally would get up and my knees would still be bent, but I'd like be walking around. I'd like walk off set with my knees like slightly bent. I'd just try to walk off. But then there were other times that my knees were like so leg locked that I literally just had stunt guys come in because like we would do lighting changes and like camera changes, so like they would flip the scene, so like from a reverse angle, so like they'll shoot from like this side and then they want to shoot it from the other side. So they basically just want to change, and they would do that in like a 10-minute flip around, and so they would have the stunt guys come in rather than me like completely getting like out of it and then having to get back in it. They just have the stunt guys come in, carry me out. Like I'd stick my arms out like that. They would come in, carry me out, and then like 10 minutes later, they'd just carry me back in, so I didn't have to get out and everything. It was hilarious.
Yeah, well, you seem like you have a great perspective on it, and you were down for the cause, whatever it took to make that role.
You gotta have fun with it. I mean, when you're on set for like 12, 15 hours a day, if you don't have fun with it, even in all the hard spots and moments, then like, what are you doing in this business?
Yeah, absolutely. And so there were some scenes like where you're actually riding on an elephant. Were you actually riding on an elephant, or what? How did that shake down? That was interesting.
That's trade secrets, but no.
Trade
Um,
secrets, I thought
I,
so.
I wish I could say that I had the fortunate opportunity of riding on a baby elephant. I wish I could. Unfortunately, that was all CGI, and I was just on a rig,
Okay.
like a metal rig where they had a big saddle on it, and they CGI'd it to make it look like an elephant. But in my head, it was an elephant the whole time I was riding it.
Yeah, that's so cool. I like that scene where you're walking across the top of the bar down to Hugh Jackman's character, and
Yeah.
and you sit on the top hat. Like that's a great
Yeah,
scene.
that was surprisingly, actually, funnily enough, they had, so I had like a double, which, I mean, I don't know if it makes me feel better or worse, but my double was a 5-year-old kid. So, they had him climb up onto the bar and walk along the bar and sit like in front of Hugh Jackman, and you know, Hugh Jackman made him cry a few times, but I don't think that was any fault of Hugh Jackman. Um, but like he was a 5-year-old kid, and obviously he missed his parents. But funnily enough, it always made it look like Hugh Jackman was making kids cry. But I was like, poor Hugh Jackman. Like, how would you feel if you're like a kid sits in front of you and he just starts crying? I'm like, man, I feel pretty bad. I'm like, I feel like I'm making a kid cry. What am I doing? But they had him climb on the bar, and they shot it a few times. Um, and then, funnily enough, they had me do it in my knee boot. So I actually had to climb up on a stool and onto the bar and walk down. And funnily enough, they said I did it better than the kid. So after they shot the kid, they shot me doing it, and they just kept me doing it myself because even in knee boots, I made it look more natural walking along that bar on my knees than they got it with the kid. So it
Perfect.
was yeah, it was a really cool scene.
Yeah, obviously they hired the right man for the job.
Well, I can now put on my resume that I'm an expert knee walker. Not that I don't know when I'll ever need to use that skill again, but if I do, it's there.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. You got to be able to pull that rabbit out of your hat anytime.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love the premise of the movie. You know, as you and I have been getting to know each other a little more, having conversations, and so forth. You know, I've supported people with different abilities for over 30 years, and you know, this movie in, kind of reinvigorated me. It re-inspired me because it's kind of the same premise in that movie for people that don't know or haven't seen that movie. Obviously, I'm late to the party. I'm only just finding my way to this movie now, becoming connected with you. So thank you for that. And
Of course.
you know, I find it's reinvigorated me, and it reminds me about kind of my startup with my nonprofit. It's just I love that, you know, you and I have in common trying to change the language. You know, that's hard for the generations that have gone on for centuries using specific language and certain words. I mean, different strokes for different folks. Different people prefer to be identified with different language, right? And so for me, working with people with different abilities for 30 years, everybody has a different preference. And so I like that you like to take the dis out of disability and kind of and throw two F's in there, diff ability, or throw an F in
Yeah.
there. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I mean, I think it's important because like words have power. I mean, there's two sides of that coin.
Yeah.
It's like people use words to either empower themselves or disempower either themselves or other people. And obviously, the word disability is not a negative word or not a bad word, but I think it's disempowering. And it's just like when people use words to insult other people. Like you can choose to give it power or you can choose to not give it power. Just like when people try to insult me with, whatever words that they use. Like people call me a midget and they use that word to try and disempower me. But funnily enough, like I take that word, I call myself a midget. Like, and I actually embrace that term because to me, I'm like, you know what? So what? I'm a little person. It doesn't matter. There are people that on social media that have tried to make me feel bad about being a little person and tried to make me feel like my life, should totally suck and I should, feel like the world is miserable. And yeah, sure, the world isn't designed for me, but you know what? We can, just like in The Greatest Showman, the movie, it says like, we can take the world and we can redesign it.
Yeah.
So let's keep moving forward one step at a time and redesign the world the way we want it to be for the people we love and how we need it to be for us each day.
I love that, and I think you're right. You know, I see you, I hear you. I know there's stigma that comes with the word disability. Disability is not a bad word, but there is stigma that comes with it, and nobody wants to be labeled. You don't want to be labeled, slapped with a label, and have that stigma on you. And you're just trying to live your life. And I love that you took your power back with some of the words that people use against you as weapons or to be hurtful. Everybody's built different, right? And so I think that that's very inspiring for you, and what a leader and a trailblazer you are. And for anybody that's trying
Thank
to
you.
use hurtful words against you, you know can they walk across the top of the bar on their knees to sit down in front of Hugh Jackman? Have they done that? No, they have not. So
I mean, at the same time, like I'm very grateful for the opportunities I've had, but
yeah,
I also try to be humble about it too, because like you said, yeah, other people haven't done what I've done, but at the same time, they've done things that I haven't done.
that's right.
And so we're all fortunate to have the opportunities we have and not have, the challenges that we don't have. I have challenges that other people don't have. Other people have challenges that I don't have. I have opportunities that other people don't have. They have opportunities I don't have. So,
That's right.
we all do the best with what we have.
That's right. I don't have your gifts and you don't have mine, so there's no competition. I can't compete with Sam Humphreys. Are you kidding me?
And I can't compete with you, Mike.
Man, well, you are a warrior, a true warrior. I love it. And just, gosh, that 30-hour round trip plane flight. that's
It was all worth it in the end.
for a 1 hour meeting. I mean, man, yeah, you're committed to your craft. I love it. And, something else that I thought was very cool about you is that you've always wanted to join up in the Army. Like you wanted to be a part of the Army, serve and protect. And you have, I saw some of the training videos of you doing working with guns. So you have a little a role in. Oh, I can't remember if that was an audition or it was actually just a behind the scenes shoot for a project that you were in. But you were using the what do you call it? You were shooting blanks.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, so that was just a show reel that I was shooting, as to show what I can do and to show that I can do action and that I love doing action. And I have like my top 5 roles, and one of my top 5 roles is to be like in the Secret Service, like play a Secret Service agent, or be a soldier or a general, president and God. Those are like my top 5 roles.
That is so
like
cool.
Morgan Freeman.
Yes. Have you ever done any kind of like a boot camp training or anything like that?
No, but that would be very interesting. I think I'd probably be more qualified to do it nowadays because I'm like more physically fit and, I'm stronger and I'm more, I have more stamina these days. Definitely not when I was younger.
Yeah. Well, I've seen some footage of you too working out. You like to keep up and you like to work out with weights and a little cardio. And what are some of the other workout routines you like to get into?
Yeah, so I tend to do running. I mean, my workout routine like comes and goes. It's kind of like my motivation sometimes not the best. Like I'll say that much. Like sometimes I'm really really committed to my workout routine. Like I'll do it every single day, and like I'm gung ho. And then there are times and periods where I'm just like I'm a little bit lackluster for it. But when I'm in it. Like every day, I'll run. I'll do dumbbells. I'll do push-ups. I'll do sit-ups. I'll do pull-ups. Um, I like running on a treadmill. I don't have a treadmill, but eventually I want to get one. That's my goal. But I tend to run outside. Like I'll go running around my block a couple times, and then just normal push-ups, sit-ups. And then I actually have the sword from Lord of the Rings, Frodo's sword. It's a replica, so I have that, and I'll do like sword fight training outside.
I love that. I do that. I have a samurai, and so like I was seeking samurai training. Like I was looking for someone to work with me on that, but I was doing too many things at once, and then I just found my way to YouTube and just started YouTubing videos of people that would play with samurai swords, and I just played in my garage. So I just kind of train myself and move my body, with the sword, and just kind of make it more fun and playful, which is cool. So I have all my martial arts toys, and I do the same with all those things.
Nice.
So, yeah,
it's just feeling the extension like of the sword. It's like part of your body, and like how it moves, and also, I mean, there have been a few times where I've been potentially able to get into like projects that have involved sword fighting, and you need to be pretty like strong. Like if you're gonna like do like choreography for 2 or 3 hours, you need to be able to like move and fight for several shoots. And there were a couple auditions that I did that potentially involved me being a soldier and a fighter. I didn't land the role, but I auditioned for them, and they involved me being a sword fighter.
that's awesome. And so, like you said, you never know what's going to come up. You never know when an audition's going to be coming your way, and you've got to be in shape for that. You got to be ready and prepared. And so it sounds like you're very versatile, and so you're a very versatile actor, and you want to be versed in all those trainings, so you can, if you were ever presented with a role to take that on in one of your dream roles, you're ready to go. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like when you're an actor, like part of being an actor is you got to try and have a very versed set of skill. I mean, funnily enough, whenever I do like the like when you sign up to a new casting site and stuff, they always have a whole bunch of questions. And half the time when I look at those, I'm always like, what skills do I have? And unfortunately, when I look at that, it makes me feel like examine my life a little bit because I'm like, what can't I do? And unfortunately, a lot of times I'm like, well, I can't do this and I can't do that. And my dream is to always be able to fill that out like so diversely. Unfortunately, a lot of it is blank. I mean, it's filling up a little bit, but there's things that like I could do in the past that I want to like get back into. Like there are things like I'd love to get my plane license. I would love to, be able to do like martial arts. I'd love to be able to, ride horses. And I rode a little bit for the Greatest Showman. Like I practiced horse riding for a few scenes that I was on a horse. And when I was younger, I did some horse riding. So that's a skill that I'd love to get back into again. I would love to learn fencing. So there's all these different skills that I'd love to learn. But it all takes money. Money makes the world go round.
Yes, you are not wrong, my friend. I know there was a time when I wanted to do so many things but didn't have the funds to back that. But once I started prioritizing the funds as they were coming in, and I got into some martial arts. That'd be great. You'd be great at martial arts. You should really look into jujitsu. I think if you ever come stay with me in town, when you come to the set, when you come to the Metro Detroit area, you come down to the Motor City. Well, I've got mats in the garage, and I turn my garage into a gym. And so we can play some fencing, and we can do some martial arts. And I have some
Nice.
friends. Yeah, I have some friends that are trainers. They could come in and give you a freebie, a free lesson, and that'd be super fun. You said you wanted to get your pilot's license. Have you ever done any skydiving or thought about that?
No, I do actually. That is on my bucket list to go skydiving. Um, One thing that I probably won't do. I mean, I might do it, but I have a fear of it. Is I have a fear of heights. Skydiving, ironically, I do want to do, even though I have a fear of heights. Bungee jumping, there's a little bit of a different story. I'm like petrified of bungee jumping, only because I always feel like the moment I jump off the bridge, the thing around my feet is like gonna come undone. And
Right.
like, I don't know. It's just, funnily enough, when I was in New Zealand one time, there was a company that wanted to make me a brand ambassador of their company, for bungee jumping. I was like, probably not the best idea to have someone who, is petrified of bungee jumping to be your ambassador. Not the best idea. So, but they tried.
Oh my goodness. I have absolutely no desire to go bungee jumping. So, but I was also too, I had a fear of skydiving, and I just wanted to face my fears. And so, I did it. I faced it, and then I enjoyed it. And then it's like one thing leads to another. After that, I immediately wanted to learn how to fly the plane, so
Oh yeah,
it gets
I really want to learn how to fly.
yeah, it turns into a whole thing. I know some folks with planes too. Maybe we can get a flight lesson. You got to come out this way. So,
Nice.
yeah,
I
that's
don't have my car license, but I'll get my plane license.
yeah. I was gonna ask, so just kind of getting around. Like, do you face any challenges? Because, like I said, I've shared with you over the last week too, just some of the initiatives that I've got cooking, and I've got a transportation network, and a lot of the folks that I support, face challenges with transportation and getting around to their social groups. Or their activities or places of employment, and or they just don't have a valid driver's license, and so that became important to me in providing a transportation network that encompasses everybody. It's transportation for everybody with trained drivers that are focused on health and safety, and environmental emergencies, and working with individuals that happen to have diverse needs. Is that Has that ever been a challenge for you in your community, just getting around and finding
Yeah, yeah.
transportation?
So I mean, I definitely am more here in LA than back home in Australia. I don't have my driver's license, but I was gonna go for my driver's license back home. Then the film came up, and so like it was a catch 20. It was not a catch 22, but it was a dilemma whether it was like do a film or get my license. And I figured I'd get my license at any time. Um, However, back home I had like a specially modified car. So I had like pedals, I had a platform to rest my feet on, I had, for lack of a better term, I had a booster seat in the driver's seat for me to boost me up so I could see over the dashboard. And I was learning how to drive, and I was pretty good at driving. At least I think my dad would say that. I think I definitely had a few interesting incidents, not with me driving necessarily, but with how people reacted to me driving. Because it's not every day you see a little person driving a car. And, because I'm not a dwarf, I look more like a little kid than I do look like, a dwarf, adult. Because a dwarf person, they look a little bit more mature in their facial features and whatnot, and, proportions and stuff. Me, I'm fully proportionate and I just look more like a younger kid. So when you see me driving, a lot of the times people thought that I was a kid driving. Um, and actually, my dad almost got stopped several times because I was getting in the driver's seat and people were like, "What are you doing letting your kid drive?" So they had many incidences like that.
Yeah, I also remember watching a reel of you talking about this when you were younger, going to the store with your mom. And if you would separate, or if you were just out shopping, like in the community, and people would follow you
Yeah.
around and ask, and hey, little kid, are you lost, or and things like that. And so I know that like that would frustrate you at times, but you just kind of learned to accept it and like move on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I just moved past it now. I mean, I still get it, sometimes. I mean, I think more so, I mean, especially in today's, like, day and age, I feel like people are, like, so busy with their own lives, they don't necessarily stop to, like, see the world around them. I mean, good and bad. I mean, for me personally, it's kind of good because now people like don't necessarily like intrude in my own business. They just let me be.
Right.
Maybe a little bit bad if there are bad things going on around them, and maybe people should stop and pay attention. But I don't get asked about if I'm lost and things like that. I mean, I probably look a little bit older these days, and if you've seen the movie, maybe you know who I am or I look familiar, so you're less likely to question. Um, but yeah, I definitely get asked, if I'm lost, if I'm okay. Like actually, even funnily enough, when I just turned 31 a few months ago, and ironically, on that day when I had turned 31, literally twice on that day, I got treated like a kid. So I got asked if I was lost and if I was okay. Well, not if I was okay, actually. It was more, it wasn't even to me. It was more someone was like asking around me. Someone was like, is that someone's lost kid? Like they were just like saying it out into the ether. They're like, did someone lose a kid? Like hoping that if someone lost their kid, they'd be like, yeah, yeah, me. And then someone else like made a joke. Someone else made a joke. To be fair, I think they maybe had some, maybe mental, conditions. But they were like joking around about walking towards me, and they were like, "Are you an Oompa Loompa? Are you a Munchkin?" And like they were making some jokes like that, and I just ignored it because I could see that they maybe weren't, fully mentally aware or present.
Yeah.
So I dealt with a lot of that growing up. So now I just learned to like, let it bounce off me like bullets ricochet.
Yeah, I like that. I like your mentality, and definitely a warrior. And that was a piece of, an interview that I saw with you prior. You talking about your high school years and kind of how you evolved from a young man, as a toddler, and kind of coming up, and you're 7 years old, and all the girls are paying attention to you, and they mother you, because I saw an interview with your
Mm.
mom too. Your mom's
Mm-hmm.
adorable, and so
Thank you.
she yeah, she's a cutie, and so she was sharing a story about how all the girls used to fuss over you and pay attention to you, and then as you evolved in age, and you didn't have so many growth spurts coming as your friends were hitting those growth spurt milestones, you faced some dark years, and you kept it to yourself, and I thought I was just very inspired by you sharing that. Would you talk a little bit about that, and what kind of helped you find your way through those dark times?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, like you said, I mean, when I was a toddler and growing up into my teenage years, faced a lot of, dark times with my mental health, and, feeling like that I would never be seen or appreciated, or I would never be treated, like all of my fellow male friends growing up and developing, going through puberty and developing into, a man and things like that. And, when I was younger, I had all the girls, fawning over me and mothering me and wanting to treat me, like their baby and all that. If only that happened these days, but it doesn't.
Right.
Now, what I wouldn't give to have a bunch of girls fawning over me. I mean, they do, but from a distance. I can't
Yeah.
get that up close these days. Um, but yeah, so I went through that development phase where I felt like, I would never be seen as a real man, and I would never be seen as someone that a woman would want to, date or want to fall in love with. And going back to the falling in love thing, like, I don't believe in falling in love. I believe in, like, I mean, it's changed over the years, but I believe in, like, love is an action. You choose to be in love. So yes, you can have feelings, and you feel attracted to a person, but you then choose to pick a person, and you choose to commit to a person despite their flaws. Um, so I never believed that I'd be enough for someone, and with all the challenges that I had, my health challenges and being a person of short stature, I I believed, and I still have moments today, but like I'm better at handling it with my mental health and overcoming those things. But I always believed that I was never enough and too much for someone. So never enough in the fact that I'm a little person. I'm not your traditional ideal image of what a man is, or a masculine, male, because I'm small, and, I might not be able to do everything that the average male can do. And then too much, I'm small, I have my health challenges, I might not be able to protect, I might not be able to, I might not be able to have children, and all these things that go through my head. Like, they don't go through my head every single day, but it's a pretty reoccurring thing that runs through my head. So there's a lot that runs through my head. And when I was a teenager and a child, I was not able to cope with those, and I was not able to fully deal with those things as I am able to deal with them more so today. It was a lot harder to deal with those things, especially when you're a teenager, when those things matter so much to you. Um, and that unfortunately led to me through my dark periods, where when I was around about 14 and 15, learning that I might not make it to 18 and even past 18, and if I made it past 18, that my quality of life might not be that great and might not be very well sustained, and learning that from doctors growing up, I attempted suicide several times, and it's I'm better at talking about it these days. It's still a little bit hard. It does still bring up a little bit of emotion in me. Um, and sometimes like I don't know how to say it, but weirdly it makes me like grin, and I don't know whether that's like just my reaction to like talking about it, but I have this weird reaction where like I grin or I smile. I don't know whether it's my way of dealing with talking about it or like I think that's part of one of my coping mechanisms. Is when I deal with things that are a little bit hard to deal with, I find like the humor in it. And like one of my coping methods, I think, is self deprecation or humor. And so I maybe smile or laugh and I tell jokes, and that gets me through it. And I don't mean to smile at, these things that are very heavy topics. But even when, unfortunately, sometimes other people bring it up, it happens, and I feel a little bit bad about it because I don't mean to grin or smile, but that seems to be one of my coping mechanisms.
Well, Sam, we have that in common actually. So I feel like validated at this point right now because I do it too. So when I talk about those times, we have that in common. I think that most folks and men, such as you and myself, have experienced suicidal ideation or have attempted, and it's a dark place to be. And as you mentioned, you've gotten more comfortable talking with it over the years, and you kind of know how to process more now with life experience and having all the adversity that you'd faced, behind you. But you're not blind to the fact that you'll face adversity ahead of you. You just have the toolbox and an arsenal ready, and when you're bringing these topics up, they're pretty heavy for people. And I tend to do the same thing. The more uncomfortable I get, the bigger my grin gets, and then I have these
Yeah.
dimples. And so like it looks like I'm always thinking like people must be thinking like, what is this guy smiling about? Like, this story is so dark. But I also have a dark sense of humor, and I don't think it's funny, but that is my go-to, is my smile. And part of that is not wanting to make people feel uncomfortable. So when you're getting into that, when you're getting into those details, it's often uncomfortable, and maybe you don't realize maybe how someone's going to respond. And so when you have a smile as beautiful as yours and a set of teeth like that, you just want to make sure everyone's gonna embrace what you have to say.
Well, this is, I mean, as much as I love to say I was born with a smile like this is actually not my normal smile. So growing up as part of like my condition of macular dysplasia, one of the conditions with my teeth, they grew in a very uneven like uneven way, and I had like teeth issues where I had overcrowding in my mouth. And one of the things that I was blessed to do after Greatest Showman is, if you watch The Greatest Showman, you'll see my smile is my teeth are very, crooked and not straight and things like that. And so I was very fortunate that this is actually a denture. And I know a lot of people are like, why would you want to tell people, they're not your natural teeth and whatnot? As you'll find about me, I like to be a pretty open book,
Yeah.
because with me believing in the mission that we're both a part of, with one of our mutual friends, Glenn, with the Imperfectly Perfect campaign, is that we're all human beings, we're all imperfect. And so I think when we can share about our flaws, and let each other know that we're just humans and we make mistakes and we're not perfect, then that makes everyone else feel okay about opening up. So this is not my natural smile. It's not my natural teeth. But when I got these dentures, it actually flipped like how I felt about myself, and my confidence level went like 1,000%, 1,000,000% through the roof. Like I can say today that part of my getting these dentures and my smile is the reason why I can be so confident. Is that I am confident about my appearance again. I love the way I look. I love the way I smile. I have that $1 million smile. I have that Hollywood smile, and it makes me feel good about myself. And that's not to say that if you don't have these things that you should feel, bad about yourself, because you shouldn't. But if it helps you, then go out and I think go out and make those changes if you can, but you don't have to do it.
I agree with you, and you do have a beautiful $1 million smile. You do have that
Thank you.
Hollywood smile, and I'm with you. So I had overcrowding in my teeth too, and that was something that made me feel insecure for years. And so I had to get those fixed. So I had to have my teeth fixed also. And so, like you pointed out, if it makes you feel better about yourself, do it. And so and I knew that about you too, actually, because having seen some of the older clips of you as you've evolved over the years, I think good job. You did it. They did some
Thank
nice
you.
work, and you look great. And I can tell you feel great, and it does. It changes your confidence level when you change something just as simple as that. And so I can appreciate everything that you said, and we all are imperfectly perfect, and that's part of the campaign that I'm so blessed to be a part of with you and Glenn and some of our other connections and friends, and IPC, Imperfectly Perfect Campaign Volume 3, Glenn Marsden's global campaign, and that's how you and I get to connect and do some work together. I think we have some beautiful projects ahead of us and collaborations to come, and I'm looking forward to diving into that, and you get to share your story on a deeper level in the book. So you're
Yeah,
looking.
yeah, you can definitely open up like about some of the things you've gone through, or if there's a specific thing that you feel like you need to get out and share with the world. And that's, part of the reason like I write in these books, and the reason why I'll be writing my autobiography that I'm working on, is to just share, my journey and my life with, the people around me and the world, so that they know that you can go through challenges, you can go through adversity, and you can come out the other side. And I always like to say that if everything I've gone through just shortcuts that journey and that experience for one other person, then everything I went through is worth it. Not to say that I want to go through it again, because I absolutely don't. But if I can use it to help someone else and better someone else's life, your experiences and your journey, if you change one person's life and you change one person's experiences, you never know the domino effect that that's going to have. One person could change, 1,000, a million, 1 billion other people's lives. All the motivational speakers we see today, you never know who they got inspired by, and now who they're inspiring. There we have some amazing motivational speakers that speak to millions of people around the world and get inspired to start chasing their goals and their dreams. And the world is made up of innovators and creative thinkers and people that change the world every single day.
Yeah, I love it. I love your perspective, and you're so right. And you're using your platform for great things. And you're like I said, you're a trailblazer and a mentor. And if you can reach anybody that that connects with you and your story, that's a game changer. That's a big deal. It's a big deal. It's very powerful. And so it's such an honor to get to be a part of this with you, and get to call you my friend. And I'm so glad that you took the time to come in and to the studio virtually here. But I know we're going to be in person soon. So
Absolutely.
yeah, it's going to be even better. So I'm just so inspired by your story and everything that you have to offer on a public platform to make a difference in the world. And The Greatest Showman, for anybody that hasn't seen it, you got to check that movie out. I'm not really a musical guy, but that's never been like my genre of films to check out, but I've been so dialed out that I've grown a little over the years, and a lot of the young folks that I used to work with when I was starting up my organization, they would all want to go see plays and do various things like that, and so they really enhanced my cultural experience in that realm of theater and so on. And that was such a cool movie. And one of the songs that really got me going in that movie was called "From Now On."
When the film first came out, it was just everywhere, and people would send me the songs and everything, and I loved the songs. I don't want to make it sound like I don't like the songs, um, but for me, the song that really hit home for me was "A Million Dreams," because that from the film, like that is like the anthem for my life. Because like circling back, like growing up, wanting to be an actor from 5 years old to 8 years old. When I was eight, I saw Hugh Jackman on the big screens and wanted to be exactly. Well, first I wanted to be exactly like Wolverine, then realized I couldn't. Not for the lack of trying to be like Wolverine. I did strap on claws and run around trying to fight bad guys. That maybe lends to my patrioticness of wanting to join the military. But then I learned who Hugh Jackman was, and he became like my role model for wanting to become an actor. So then I, looked up to him to be an actor. And then, became full circle to be in The Greatest Showman with him. And looking up to Hugh Jackman, and looking in his eyes, so many times being on that set, I got to stare into his eyes, which for me was a very daunting experience, looking into the eyes of the man that I grew up respecting and wanting to be like. It really was a million dreams. I only ever had a million dreams to be an actor, to be, on a film set, to work with Hugh Jackman, to be, doing some of the things I'm doing today, and knowing and working with the people that I'm working with today. And so a million dreams is really, all I have. I have a million dreams to do everything that I'm trying to do and achieve today. And the best is still ahead of me, I believe. With all the things that I'm working with, and to work with you, Glenn, and the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation, and all these other things.
That's amazing. And I have so it was interesting because Hugh Jackman is a singer too. I guess I didn't realize this. He's singing those songs on the soundtrack.
He's a
Right?
triple
So
threat. He does it all: sings, theater, dances,
yeah.
acts, everything.
So when I was listening to that song, it was interesting because now I downloaded it in my music on my phone. So I was listening to it, and because in that song, he's kind of talking before you jump into the actual into the song in the song "From Now On." So I think that there's
Yep,
probably a song for everybody on that soundtrack because
absolutely.
the movie The Greatest Showman and the Imperfectly Perfect campaign and my nonprofit are it's like the trifecta. It's like an amalgamation of one, because when he starts getting into that song "From Now On," that is the story of my nonprofit unfolding. It was just
Wow.
very inspiring. It just got me going, and it just took me right back to from the startup process to where I am today and the reason why. And so, just very inspiring. And it kind of feels like a full circle moment to get to collaborate with you and with Glenn on the projects that we're bringing to fruition here. And with Glenn's global mission, I think it's pretty powerful. And, my nonprofit organization is called Third Circle. And it was unique for me because it's volume 3 that of Imperfectly Perfect that I get to be a part of, and my transportation network is called Third Gear. So 3 is
No,
the number,
nice.
right? 3 is the magic
Yeah.
number. So pretty cool.
Well, it's the number that got us connected.
That's right. Yes, sir. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, definitely. There's so much. I mean, I think there's so much that you and I will get to do. Going forward. I want to jump in this next season and next chapter of my life. I want to get more into working with charities and public speaking, and just being able to share what I've learned in my life and overcoming adversity and being able to share like how I've overcome it. And a large part of that has been because of my faith. Like, I mean, everyone likes to ask me like, how did I overcome it? And yeah, I mean, I learned, methods of dealing with like my mental health and having support around me, like family and friends, and that's all very important. But I think one aspect that, a lot of people speak about is, faith. And that's been a large part of how I managed to cope with, my mental health and, attempting suicide and, feeling like I don't belong in this world. Because this world is not made for everyone, and I wasn't necessarily created to be in this world. And my faith helps me to remember, my identity and who I am and who I belong to. And it doesn't matter about like who accepts me. To me, as long as God accepts me and as long as I remember that I'm made in the image of God, then that's all that really matters. And I aspire to live out the values and the teaching that Jesus taught when he was here on earth. And as long as I can do that, then, and help other people to see that, then that's what I hope to teach in my brand as well. That I'm building, which is called the Little Guy Collective, and I hope to use that to show people, that they're all unique and they're all different, and yeah, no one should be treated, like they're nothing, because we're all human beings.
Absolutely. Well, the Little Guy Collective is going to be larger than life. Amen to everything you said. And I can't wait to make some connections for you getting onto that public speaking platform. I think that you've got a beautiful message, and
Thank you.
I can't wait to share alongside you with this experience. And I'm looking forward to everything that's coming your way. You've got a lot cooking, and I love your brand. I'm proud to be a part of the evolution of it, getting to witness it. I think it's amazing. And so what a great launching pad with the Imperfectly Perfect campaign too. And you've got a huge supporter in Glenn Marsden. So I know Glenn absolutely loves you to pieces. And so who wouldn't, I mean, you're
Thank
such,
you.
yeah.
I mean, we slightly connected over our Australian connection, but I'm not Australian. I'm a Kiwi, but I lived in Australia for 10 years, and so that's like our connection. Every time I meet someone who's Australian, like we just have like instant connection.
Well, Sam, it has been such a pleasure talking to you in the studio today. I'm so happy, and we're going to connect again. I know that this will not be the first and the last time that you're here at the Inner Circle studio. And I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to be a part of this today.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
Amazing. All right, guys. The amazing, larger than life, Sam Humphreys. That's a wrap.